Hello, it's time to take the roof down and enjoy the thrills of open-air motoring. This is Dave Lee Travis counting you down the top 10 convertibles on sale over the last year, as chosen by the editors of the UK's top automotive magazines. It may seem a real luxury to own a convertible, but the days of leaky roofs and floppy chassis are in the past. There are some great machines out there. Security always will be a worry with convertibles, but don't park anywhere dodgy and you'll be okay. Right, let's hit the jukebox. At number 10, it's the Mercedes CLK Cabriolet. It looks the business and exudes desirability. This car comes in two flavours, with and without the letter K. Now the K stands for compressor, and these engines give a noise which to some is exciting roar, to others a noisy din. For both versions, this car can be pretty costly to run, with the 200K model giving you about 20 miles to the gallon around town. So, if you're going to pay through the nozzle, you'd better be sure you're going to get value for money in the driving and thrills department. Well, this isn't really the case, I'm afraid. The CLK is based on the old Mercedes C-Class, which wasn't exactly a sporty beast. The CLK is pretty well mannered on the tarmac. Just don't expect a really exciting driving experience, that's all. At number 9, here's another hardtop with a scalp. The Saab 9.3 convertible looks stylish and swish. The 9.3 has excellent seats and a fair amount of onboard gear for your cash. Plus, if you need power under the pedal, there's a top-end aero offering 205 brake horsepower. But for a car with such an old chassis under the skin, it's not a good idea, really. It almost seems too much power to be usable. After slicing the top off, it seems like the Saab engineers have shoved a couple of iron rods inside to compensate for the body and strength loss. And the result is a nasty, unsettled ride with scuttle shake galore.
Chopping the top off a car might mean that you get the wind in your hair, you can tan as you commute to really impressive girls, okay? But it seldom does anything at all to improve the drive and handling of a car. In fact, in the Saab 9.3, you get a huge amount of scuttle shake, which I always thought was a dance James Brown might shout out in one of his songs. Scuttle shake. But what it means is the whole of the front of the car twists and rocks because we've lost the rigidity of the roof. Then again, it's not, and never has been, a performance car. Actually, once you've got past the scuttle shake, the body control is really very good. It doesn't rock and roll as much as you think it might, and it is quite an entertaining drive. There's still quite a lot of power going through those front wheels, so it will scrabble for grip from time to time. And there is actually still a little bit of a whoosh from the turbo when you get it right. This is all well and good. It's very nice, in fact, but it doesn't happen very often. We've had to wait 16.5 weeks to get a sunny day to film it like this. This is how you'll spend most of your time. Roof very definitely up. Good, now we can head off for some fun in the drizzle. Much more like it.
But to some, looks are everything, and if you're not seeking perfection in the driving experience, the Saab 9.3 convertible offers a great image statement with performance. The Saab 9.3 at number 9. At number 8, it's a Mazda, the MX5. This was the car which really blazed the trail of the affordable open-top sports car, sticking to the good old tried and tested formula of a front-engine, rear-wheel drive configuration in a neat and perky package.
The great British summertime. Boring cricket matches, curled up cucumber sandwiches, wind and usually no shortage of rain either. Oh, and a long-standing love affair with small, compact two-seater roadsters in which to explore those country roads. Mazda rekindled that love affair 10 years ago now with the arrival of the original MX5. And this, the MX5 Icon, is a special edition to celebrate that. At nearly £20,000, it's £2,000 more than a standard MX5 with a 1.8 engine. So what are we getting for our extra Spondulix? A part that is from a decidedly dodgy colour. It's hardly inspiring for a party, is it? Purple.
MX-5s have always been quite a nice place to be. The cabin has a well-finished, understated feel to it, which is very pleasant. You don't feel there's anything gizmo or gimmicky about it. It all feels pretty purposeful and quite grown up for a small car. For a car that harks back to the likes of creaky old MGs and Spitfires, the MX-5 icon is pretty luxurious and sophisticated. But is that what it's really all about? Nearly £20,000 for a little two-seater Roadster seems like a heck of a lot of money. Admittedly, the MX-5 has in its 10 years achieved cult-like status, and perhaps for those who've owned a whole string of them, this is the ultimate. But for anybody looking to buy their first small two-seater Roadster, I'd say maybe you should think about going a little further back to basics.
At number 7, it's our first French contender, the Peugeot 206cc, standing not for cubic centimetres, now that would be a puny engine, but for Coupé Cabrio. Already with a clutch of awards under its belt, the 206cc is a cute looker and will impress in the car park. But as for owning one, there are a few more home truths to reveal. First of all, when the roof is up, the boot has more space than the standard 206, but when the roof is down, you get a pathetic area to store stuff in. And the back seats look swish, but are incredibly cramped for adult-sized passengers. Plus, the driving position isn't that brilliant, but this car has so much quality image. These negatives really are just niggles. The silver dials and drilled pedals are some of the little touches that make you think you're behind the wheel of something special, and of course, you are. At number 6, another French model, and we discover the open-top version of the top-selling Megane series. The Megane idea has been a real winner from Renault, as they've used the same platform for all sorts of models, including saloons and of course the groundbreaking Megane Scenic Mini MPV. The cabriolet version is a neat little open-top machine that's very affordable, and gives a lot of good kit for your cash.
When it first came out, the Megane Cabriolet was considered by many to look the business. But then so was the Model T Ford, and like it, the Renault is now starting to look just a little long in the tooth. Oh my God, what am I doing? I'm driving a drop-top car without my official cabriolet driver's hat. Essential. Much better. Does suffer badly from that bane of the cabriolet, scuttle shape. Dun dun dun. In other words, a lot of wobble at the front end where you've removed the roof. Not a good thing.
This is a good value small sporty cabriolet, and it comes in at number 6 in our top 10 of 2001. The Jaguar XK8 is a grand tourer in every sense of the word. Grand certainly in price, as we're talking about £60,000 for this beautiful baby. Just take this luxurious convertible out on the open road and kick it down into action. The exhilaration is truly thrilling, yet the supportive but comfortable seats offer a really relaxing experience on long journeys. This is a car where you can't help but smile by driving. The XK8 can make you feel good. But if you need to sell, here's where the negatives start to show. This Jaguar is a heavy depreciator, and you'll cry when you see how much the car will lose in value from new over a few years. Well, that's it for part 1. Stay with us for part 2 when we'll continue our countdown towards the number 1 convertible of 2001. See you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to the Top 10 Auto Show as we continue our countdown of the top 10 convertibles of 2001. At number 4, we present a posh Swede, and its name isn't Agneta. This is the Volvo C70 convertible, another grand tourer from the same production lines as the coupe version. Both types boast loads of room even for rear passengers, plus there's a huge boot. How did Volvo do it? Just intelligent design that didn't compromise the styling. The ride is excellent, although don't expect the kind of driving dynamics you enjoy with, say, a BMW 5 Series.
Now you might not know it, but performance isn't such a strange word to Volvo. Years ago they successfully rallied the old 240s. They've had a cracking history in the British Touring Car Championships, and of course they are the chosen motorway stormers of our police force. So powering the C70 we get a fairly spicy 5-cylinder turbocharged engine, and that produces just under 200 brake horsepower, but it's enough to get you to 60 in a little over 8 seconds. Just the thing when you need to rush home to watch your favourite Swedish movies. Now when it comes to going topless, some cars are better than others, but the C70, well, it's not one of the better ones. On a straight road or fairly subtle corners, it's not too bad, it's actually quite nice to drive, but if you start to hurry it and really push it through faster, sharper bends, you're going to scare yourself. There's absolutely loads of body roll and more flex than you'd get in a yoga instructor. Now if you're going to buy the C70 convertible as a backlane stormer, you're going to be disappointed. But if you want to cruise in comfort and style with your family and friends, you're going to be on a winner.
Who would have thought, looking at this sleek cat, that Volvo once made a worthy but boring box on wheels? This really is a great car, which, though it lacks a bit of flair and cachet, makes up by exuding quality and distinction. When they tweak this car a bit, more fun in the dynamic department please Volvo, but overall a great machine at number 4. Now we're into the top 3, and here's another Peugeot. This is the 306 convertible at the number 3 position. Here's a car which probably didn't have a cabrio version in mind when it was first launched, but slice off the top of the much-loved 306 and it becomes a very handsome open-top machine. Sharing the dynamic ability of the hatch version, this is a cabrio which loves the twists and turns and handles them brilliantly. Precision steering helps the fun factor as well, and when you see the highly affordable price tag, Peugeot really have offered a very attractive package. Of course, the 306 itself has been replaced by the 307, which shows up many aspects of this car, and you may be disappointed by the pretty basic dashboard and switchgear. If you're looking for fancy chrome fittings and drilled aluminium pedals, you won't find them here. What you will get, though, is a very comprehensive level of standard kit, and there's a pretty fast electric hood as well. This isn't the fastest car in our top 10, but the 1.8 engine does a decent enough job to provide 112 brake horsepower, which will be fine to pose on a summer's day. But when you're not cruising, the 306 is practically enough to be useful any day. The 306 Cabriolet at number 3. Well, here's our number 2 car, where you can get all the shiny bits you want. The spectacular Audi TT works as a design both in coupe and roadster versions and is amazingly head-turning. This car shows that you're a person of impeccable taste and appreciate high-tech design. It may not say you're a top driver though. This is a pretty heavy car, and if you're expecting Boxster or even MX5 thrills, you won't get them here, even with the 225 brake horsepower version.
So, how to describe it? Well, I don't know really. It's a bit Beetle and a bit Porsche Boxster, certainly in terms of the symmetry of it. It's a bit Fritz Lang with a touch of Buck Rogers thrown in for good measure. What I'm trying to say is it's modern. Look at it. Somehow, the Roadster doesn't have the impact, the completeness, the sheer beauty of the coupe, certainly not at the sides and the rear anyway. And it's odd, as you get older, you find yourself doing things like buying shoes because they're comfortable, frowning at girls for wearing skirts that are just too short, and caring about things like boot space. Maybe boring, but it is important. In the case of the coupe, you get a large and beautifully appointed boot with very expensive carpet and lots of chrome fittings. In the case of this, the Roadster, well, it's really rather a miserable little affair. Look, bare metal.
Audi have gone the refined route here, even muting the sporting sound out of the exhaust note. The steering is nice and precise, but could give a little more feedback. But we're talking niggles here, because the Audi TT Roadster is a fantastic package that will hold its value and give real ownership pleasure.
Well, hang
hang on a second, who cares that it's as relaxed and easy to drive as a saloon? Look at it, it's a sports car. I don't want relaxed. Probably a better word for it is neutered. It's certainly not the most involving drive I've ever had from a sports car. It is, however, based on the Audi A3 platform, by which I think they're going to take over the world, because you'll find that platform underneath pretty much every car on the road today. Probably underneath your toaster and your dishwasher as well. But it is good news, because it is a very, very good platform.
After all, sat behind the dash is just a thrill in itself, admiring the design sense of the Audi team who balanced up all the elements of functionality with aesthetics.
Let's get one thing straight right from the very start. These seats, they are not going to be standard. They will be an optional extra. They will not be to everyone's taste because they look like baseball gloves. But apart from that, the rest of the interior, well, it's pretty much like the coupe version. It's extremely stylish, very discreet, and only the best materials are used throughout. Also, there are some motifs repeated that give it that extra special touch, like these aluminium rings with these dimples in them. They're everywhere, all over the place in here. Standard equipment will include a CD auto changer, air conditioning, and the electric roof.
Here's a car that's really very well built. Audi have used the very best quality materials throughout, and the car is so well screwed together it feels almost solid. The Audi TT Roadster, number 2 in our chart. So, before we reveal the number 1 car, here's a rundown of the chart. At number 10, it's the swish but expensive Mercedes CLK. Number 9 sees the convertible version of the Saab 9.3. At number 8, the exciting Mazda MX5. At number 7, the cute and funky Peugeot 206 Coupe Cabriolet. Number 6, it's the Renault Megane Cabriolet. At number 5, the gorgeous Jaguar XK8 convertible. At 4, Volvo's spacious and luxurious C70. Number 3, and another Peugeot, the 306 convertible. And at number 2, the astonishing curves of the Audi TT. So let's reveal the number 1 open-top car of 2001. At 1, it's BMW right there at the top of the pile with the fantastic 3 Series convertible. The Cabriolet version may not have been revised like the other models in the 3 Series range, but this offers an excellent combination of all the attributes a driver really wants for open-top motoring.
Hooray! At last, a BMW bike. Mind you, it'll still set you back 2,100 quid. Now, let me just press this button here. Now, if you reckon that BMW is a little underpowered, driven as it is by these 2 knotted pieces of string I call legs, then this BMW certainly isn't, because it's powered by a new 3-litre engine available throughout their range, but we've decided to test it in this 3 Series Cabriolet. For the simple reason you can still experience the same wind in your hair as on the bike, if not wind on your knees.
Even though they've had to add the heavy strengthening to the open version, the 6-cylinder engines are powerful enough to give sufficient power under the pedal to give enjoyment on the open road, with good acceleration, pin-sharp handling, and the refinement that comes as second nature to BMW. This has to be unbeatable if you're looking for quality cabriolet motoring.
One characteristic you'd expect to find in nearly all of the bigger 4-seater convertibles is scuttle shake. No, it's not a 70s disco dance, it's actually to do with the rigidity of the car. Think about it, you chop the roof off, that's a big old lump of tin that used to be there to brace it, and as a result, without it, the whole thing can twist and shake, which makes it very difficult for the suspension to cope. Well, in this, they've actually improved it by 20% over the previous convertible, which is already pretty good, so it's not at all bad. That said, there's no way is it ever going to be as good as the tin top, coupe or saloon.
The 3 Series is practical as well, as it seats 4 comfortably. The middle rear is a bit of a squeeze, and with the roof up, you can shove the roof container out of the way to make decent luggage space.
And here's something really clever. In any soft top, you're going to lose a bit of boot space, because when the top itself is down, it's got to go somewhere, and usually they cut into your boot space area, so we lose a bit here, and that's the case with the BMW. But, and this is where it's clever, if you're going to leave your top up and you're going away, you want to put a few suitcases in it, lift this lever, push it here, compress that space, and voila, we have more boot space. Clever. In fact, this could be said to be one of your few chances to please everybody in life. For the show-off in you, well, it's a convertible, isn't it? Drop top. For the family man or woman, it's a four-seater. Very practical. For the accountant, BMW convertibles hold their value very well. For the driver, well, it's rear-wheel drive with that fantastic new 3-litre engine, a real peach. For the snob, well, it's a BMW badge, isn't it? That said, it's not perfect, because it can't be said to be class-leading in every one of those fields, but it is quite probably the best compromise. And life is, after all, about compromise. Otherwise, Einstein would have been born looking like Marilyn Monroe.
The roof is really thick and snug fitting, and you get a decent glass window, not a nasty scratchy plastic one, and you get good kit for your money.
BMW bang on about their cars being driver's car and rear-wheel drive being the best thing for real drivers. But the other important point is sitting in the cabin, everything's aimed at me. Literally, everything's pointing at me, the driver. I'm the important one. Down on the fascia in the centre console, everything's aimed at me. Even the steering wheel is specially for me. I've got special controls for everything, and it looks and feels great. I feel important.
As with all cabriolets, it's always best to buy in the winter when few need them and sell in the summer when demand is high. Do watch where you park, as thieves think these cars are easy to break into, and Bob's your uncle. Enjoy your wind in the hair experience. I hope you've enjoyed this week's chart rundown. Join me, Dave Lee Travis, next week when I'll reveal the top 10 coupes. See you then.